Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining in for our Srila Prabhupada book study session. We are studying Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. We'll start with the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradishwe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Dharalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatrapadamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanyam Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in. We are currently on chapter number 5 of this book, Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. So yesterday we were seeing how our only object of attraction should be Lord Sri Krishna. If we are attracted to anything else, then we are actually digging our grave, or we are entangling ourselves more and more in this material world of Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadi. Right? And within this entanglement, we can never be happy. How can we be happy? The formula is given by Lord Krishna in 5.29. Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhradam Sarva Bhutanam Nyatva Shanti Prachati. Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme owner or the proprietor of everything. CEO. We can remember that. Right? So Krishna is the supreme CEO, and if we work in accordance with the laws laid down by Lord Sri Krishna, then we will be happy. Otherwise, we will just be frustrated in our attempts to become happy in this material world. So that's how we ended that chapter. Today's chapter is a very, very interesting chapter. So today's chapter is entitled Realizing that God is everywhere, right? So we ended the previous chapter by saying that we need to develop attraction for Krishna. But how do we develop that attraction, right? Of course, the best way to develop attraction is to hear about Krishna. We generally always hear about people whom we want to follow. We want to know what they're doing what they had for breakfast, what they had for lunch. You know, most of these celebrities, they put their YouTube videos. I had this for lunch. I went to this party. And then people who are followers, what do? They read, they derive great pleasure. Oh, this is what they did now, yesterday evening, like that. Isn't it? So we develop more and more attraction when we hear about a particular person. But unfortunately, we don't have attraction for the supremely attractive Lord Shri Krishna. So how do we develop such attraction? Right? It works both ways, right? If you're already attracted to somebody, we read about them, we hear about them, and then we develop more attraction. And when you're not attracted, but we want to develop attraction, also we follow the same process. Right? So the same process is we hear about Krishna, we glorify Krishna, we read Bhagavatam, we read Brahma Samhita, we study nectar devotion, all of that. Why do we do? because all of those describe the glories of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, that will enable us to develop our attraction towards the Lord. And who is the person who's helping us the most in this process? It is Lord Krishna himself, isn't it? In chapter number 10, Krishna says, what is that beautiful verse? Rasoham apsugonteya pravashmi shashi shuryayo pranavaha sarva vedeshu shabdake paurusham vishu. Right? I am the ability in man. I am the taste of water. Rasoham apsugonteya pravashmi shashi shuryayo. I am the splendor of the sun. I am the splendor of the moon. So we cannot see anything other than if the sun is not there, right? So when we see the sun, we can remember that, Krishna also says the sun and moon are my eyes. Right? And then we also, Krishna is saying here, I am the splendor of the sun. So if not for Krishna, sun will not get his splendor. And if not for the sun's splendor, we cannot see anything. We cannot see our own hand. We cannot walk. We cannot see anything around us. Right? So in this way, how can we remember Krishna? Krishna is giving us ways and means of how we can remember him. Right? And Sabshabdake, that I am the sound of ether. And Paurusham Drishu, I am the ability in man. Right? Sometimes when we are able to sing, when we are able to preach, when we are able to hear, when we are able to talk to people, we should always remember this ability has been given to me by Krishna. Right? The other day we were talking about how we are not the doers. Right? For example, in the Zoom meeting, if I were to ask, all of you raise your hands, right? Or virtual hands or physical hands, right? Most of you will raise your hand. If you want to raise, you will raise your hand. We were giving the example of a person who is having paralysis, paralytic attack. Right? Such a person, although may be willing to lift his hand, will not be able to lift his hand. Right? That is why we should always understand that I am not the only doer. Right? Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, 3 doers are there. Who are the 3 doers? One is myself. Right? I can only desire. As a Jivatma, my only role is to desire. And then the second doer is the Lord himself, where the Lord sanctions. Tathastu. Then that particular thing is sanctioned by the Lord. And then finally, the third doer is Prakriti, right? Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvacha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Right? It is only due to false ego. Krishna himself tells in Bhagavad Gita. Right? It is only due to ahankara or false ego that we think that I am the doer of the actions that are in actuality carried out by the 3 modes of material nature. Why is it carried out by the 3 modes of material nature? Because Prakriti arranges for it. Once Krishna approves or Krishna sanctions, then Prakriti actually arranges for it. Right? So we should never at a point in time think that I have done something on my own. We can never do anything of our own. We can remember this person. We can remember this example of how a person having a paralytic attack, right, cannot lift his hand, although he may desire to do so. Right? So many things we want to do. Sometimes even when going to the temple, I always give this example. There is an auto strike. Right? We cannot go. There is a road strike. There is a hartal. There is a Band or whatever is declared. Can we go? Even for devotional service, we go to the temple, we cannot go. Isn't it? So we are dependent upon the Lord for every small thing. That's why it is said very, very appropriately that not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What to speak of all of our achievements, right? If not by the grace of the Lord, we will not be able to achieve anything in life. That is what we need to understand. And how do we develop attraction for that Lord who's providing us with so many things? Let Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. The Lord has given us everything, whatever we require for our maintenance, for our sustenance, the Lord has given us. So how do we develop attraction for that Lord? That is simply by hearing about the Lord and by expressing our gratitude to the Lord. Right? That is why it is said that a person who accepts those foodstuffs which have been provided with the Lord, but does not offer it back to the Lord, is actually a thief. A thief can never be happy. A thief is always anxious. Oh, when will I be caught with the police? Right? And Prabhupada also in one of his lectures, he gives an example of a monkey. Right? When a monkey eats, the monkey can never eat peacefully. It'll always be seeing here, like this. Right? Because a thief, right? Because it is just taken that banana from somebody. Right? It takes glasses, it takes bananas, it takes everything. So such people who are thieves cannot be peaceful. Why? Because they are always wondering, oh, what if somebody takes this away from me? Oh, what if I get caught? But somebody who accepts the proprietorship of the Lord, who's under the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the first symptom of such a person is fearlessness, isn't it? Bhajahure mana Shri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Govindas Kaviraj Goswami writes, when we worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is the first symptom of it? We'll become fearless. Bhajahore mana Shri Nanda Nandana. When we worship Nanda Nandana, Abhaya Charana Ravindare. Right? We will become, the first step is, we will become fearless. Because we know that so many things are out of my control, right? That is causing me anxiety. But those are all within the control of my best friend. Who's that? It is all within the control of Krishna. So what is the need for me to get anxious? On that note, how do we develop attraction for Krishna? Krishna is giving us ways and means, right? Krishna is showing us that I am there everywhere in this universe. Whatever you can see, whatever you can perceive in this material world, you can perceive me in all of those things. Yeah. All right. So let's have devotees raise your hands and then you can start reading. Okay. Sridhar Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Yes, Prabhu.
Chapter 5, realizing that God is everywhere. Maharaj Prahlad informed his classmates about all the pervasiveness of the Supreme Lord.
The all-pervasiveness. The all-pervasiveness
of the Supreme Lord. But although the Supreme Lord is all-pervasive by means of his expansions of his and his energies, and does not mean he has lost his personality. That is significant. Although he is pervading, still he is a person according to our material perception. If someone is all prevailing, that it has no personality, no localized aspects. But God is not like that. For example, the sunshine is all pervading, but the sun also has a localized aspect. The sun planet, and you can see it. Not only there is a sun planet, but within the sun planet is a sun god whose name is Vishwan. We get this information from Vedic literature. There is no way to understand what is taking place on other planets except to hear from authorized sources. In this modern civilization, we accept scientists as authorities in these matters. We hear a scientist says, we have seen a moon, it is such and such, and we believe it. We have not gone with the scientist to see the moon, but we believe him. Belief is the basic principle of understanding. You may believe the scientist or you may believe the Vedas. It is up to you which source you believe. The difference is that the information from Vedas is infallible, while that received from the scientist is fallible. Why the scientist information is fallible? Because an ordinary man conditioned by the material nature has 4 defects. What are they? The first is that a conditioned human being has perfect sense. We view imperfect sense. We view the sun as a small disk. Why? It is far and far greater than the earth, but we see it as just disk. Everyone knows that our seeing power, our hearing power, and so are limited. Everyone knows that our senses are imperfect. The conditioned soul is sure to commit mistake. However, a great scientist he may be. Not a very long ago in this country, there was a disaster when the scientists tried to send a rocket, but when it once burned to ashes, so there was a mistake. The conditioned soul must make mistake because there is a nature of conditioned life. The mistake may be very great or very slight. That does not matter. But a human being conditioned by the material nature is sure to commit mistake. Hare Krishna. Shall I continue?
Yeah, okay, okay, Prabhu. Someone else can read. See, we are now talking about the four defects of human beings, right? We've discussed that several times before. So Prabhupada is very categorically saying either we can believe the words of the Vedas or we can believe the word of the scientists, right? The scientists are also subject to the 4 defects, right? This theory of evolution, the Darwin's theory of evolution, it talks about, there is a blast and then, all the living entities are created. Either we can believe that or we can believe in the Vedas, that all of those species exist. According to the consciousness that we develop, we will be put into one of those species. That 8.4 million species are already existing at all times. Yeah. So Prabhupada now goes on to explain whom we should believe. Right? Prabhupada is giving logical reasons why we should believe, we should trust in the Vedas and not in the scientists. Because scientists also have 4 defects. All living entities have 4 defects, right? Which will be elaborated by Prabhupada with examples here. So what are the 4 defects? We have imperfect senses. That is, we cannot see, right? We can hear only up to certain decibels. Beyond that and below that particular volume, we cannot hear, right? We can see only a certain distance, right? Beyond a certain distance, we cannot see, or we can be something very close also, we cannot see properly. We cannot see the bacteria or whatever is small. We cannot see the soul, right? Something that's very, very small, even with the microscope, we cannot see, right? So we have imperfect senses. And then we are subject to illusion, right? Why we are subject to illusion? Because we are thinking we are this body, but that is not a fact, right? We are actually spirit souls who are having a material body according to our past karmas and past desires. But we think we are the body. That is why we do so many things, so that we keep our body very nicely decorated, or we do things that we give pleasure to our body, etc. So that is a second defect. What is that? Illusion. And then we are prone to committing mistakes, right? Sometimes Prabhupada gives example here in Ishopanishad, how we mistake sometimes the rope to be a snake and snake to be a rope, right? Sometimes when we're walking, we just think, oh my God, I do think it is a snake. And then we jump across and go, and then we realize that it is just a rope, right? The other way it works, it works more dangerously. But yes, so we do commit mistakes, and then we are also prone to cheating, right? Sometimes we know that we don't know anything, but we pose as if we know everything, right? मुझे सब कुछ आता है, right? And people who talk very well are very successful also in material life. And Prabhupada tells in one lecture, one can cheat all the people for some time, one can cheat some people all the time, but one cannot cheat all the people all the time. And who can be that only cheater? Can only be Krishna, right? Because why Krishna cheats us? Krishna cheats us to give us pleasure, to enable us to enjoy those transcendental mellows. But what do these people, the material world people, we all cheat? Why? Because we want name, fame, glory, we want wealth, we want to usurp another person's property. So we have these 4 defects. What are those 4 defects? We are imperfect, we are illusion, we are subject to illusion, we have imperfect senses, and we are prone to make mistakes, and then we are prone to cheat. So for these 4 reasons, we don't trust the scientist, because the scientist also does so many things. He makes assumption, right? Based on that assumption, he formulates a theory. If that assumption itself is wrong, how can the theory be correct, right? So Prabhupada is going to explain here further 2 more defects, and then Prabhupada is going to tell us an intelligent person will trust the Vedas and not the scientists. So that's where we are leading to here. Let's ask Shaligram Priya Mataji. Go ahead. Further.
Okay. Further, the conditioned soul must become illusion. This happens when he continuously mistakes one thing for something else. For example, we accept the body as the self. Since I am not this body, my acceptance of the body as myself is an illusion. The whole world is going on under the illusion that I am this body. Therefore, there is no peace. I am thinking that I am Indian. You are thinking that you are American, and a Chinese man is thinking that he is Chinese. What is this Chinese, American, and Indian? It is an illusion based on body. That's all. The propensity to cheat is the 4th defect of the conditioned life. I may be a fool, but I will boast that I am very learned. Everyone is illusion and commits mistakes, as is a fool, but still such fools pose themselves as being sources of infallible knowledge. So all conditioned souls are subject to commit mistakes and become illusion, and they are influenced by the propensity to cheat. How can one perfect expert? How can one expect real knowledge from such conditioned souls? There is no possibility of receiving actual knowledge from them, whether a person is a scientist, a philosopher, or whatever. Because his condition, he cannot give complete information, no matter how educated he may be. That is a fact. One may ask question, how can we get complete information? The process is to receive knowledge via the disciplinic succession of spiritual masters, the disciples beginning with Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says to Arjun, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was first spoken by me to the sun god, and the sun god spoke it to his son Manu. In return, Manu spoke this knowledge to his son Ikshvaku, and then Ikshvaku spoke the same to his son. In this way, the knowledge has come down. But unfortunately, that disciplinic succession is now broken. Therefore, O Arjun, I am now imparting the same knowledge to you because you are my very dear friend and a good devotee. This is the process of receiving perfect knowledge to accept the transcendental vibration coming down from the higher sources. The entire stock of Vedic knowledge is the transcendental vibration to help us understand the Supreme Lord. So,
Hare Krishna.
Prahlad.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so here Prabhupada is talking about how we are having these four defects. We are having imperfect senses. We are subject to illusion. We are committing mistakes, and we have this tendency to cheat. Because of that, we cannot trust the scientists. And then Prabhupada is saying, what should we do to acquire transcendental knowledge? And then Prabhupada is talking about the disciplic succession. Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Only by hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, we can acquire transcendental knowledge. Otherwise, whatever we acquire in the name of knowledge is not going to help our soul. It is only going to help our body acquire some wealth, acquire some materialistic knowledge, which can get us a good job, etc., etc. It's not going to, such knowledge is not going to help our soul to evolve or to become Krishna conscious. And then finally, Prabhupada is talking about how he gave this knowledge to the sun god Vivaswan, right? Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Ahamavyayam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manu Rikshvaka Vibraved, right? And then in that purport, Prabhupada explains how what is it meant by this disciplic succession was broken. It is said that in course of time, it was not passed on, and because of that, Krishna gave this knowledge again to Arjuna. Right? So when Krishna gave this knowledge again to Arjuna, at that time, this perfect knowledge got another bona fide parampara. And in that parampara, when this knowledge is received, whoever is receiving this knowledge from any person who's coming in this bona fide parampara acquires the same understanding, has to come to the conclusion that Arjuna arrived at, right? Then we know we are hearing from a bona fide parampara. If I study the entire Bhagavad Gita, or I hear from a particular person the entire Bhagavad Gita, and I think I will become God, then I have not heard in a proper bona fide parampara. Why? Because my conclusion is not the same as what Arjuna arrived at. What is Arjuna's conclusion after hearing from Krishna? Right? Karishye vachanam tava. Right? I will do exactly what you are telling me. Right? That was the conclusion. Arjuna never at any point in time told that now I will become the Lord. Right? Now I will also start ordering people. No. Right? Arjuna said, Karishye vachanam tava. And Krishna did not tell Arjuna, you have to do this. Right? Krishna told Arjuna, now you do whatever you like. And Arjuna said, now I will do what you are telling me. So a sincere student of Bhagavad Gita should arrive at this conclusion at the end of the study of Bhagavad Gita. I will listen to my spiritual master. I will follow his instructions. That is the Vedic knowledge that we want to get by this process of Shabda Praman. That is why Pratyaksha Praman and Anumana Praman don't work for the reasons that we mentioned, the four defects, right? So what works? Shabda Praman. Why does Shabda Praman work? Because we hear as it is, as it was given by Krishna to Arjuna, as it was given by Krishna to Brahma, as it was given by Krishna to Lord Shiva, as it was given by Lord Krishna to Lakshmi Devi, right? Shri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Kumara Sampradaya. These are all bona fide paramparas from which we are acquiring the knowledge. So when we acquire knowledge from these bona fide paramparas, we will arrive at the same conclusion that Arjuna arrived at the end of Bhagavad Gita. So that is the test. All right. Let's go ahead and read. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Let me share my screen again. Okay. Maushmi Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So Prahlad Maharaj.
So Prahlad Maharaj says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is identical with the all-pervading Supreme Soul, the Paramatma. The same information appears in the Brahma Samhita that the Supreme Lord, although situated in his own transcendental abode, is all-pervading. Still, although he is present everywhere, we can't see him with our imperfect senses. Prahlad Maharaj then says, although he is not seen, he can still be perceived. One who is intelligent can perceive the presence of the Supreme Lord everywhere. How is this possible? During the daytime, everyone in a room can know that the sun is up because it is light in his room. He can understand that the sun is shining in the sky. Similarly, those who have received perfect knowledge in disciples succession know that everything is an expansion of energy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they see the Lord everywhere.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So here, the topic of how we can see the Lord everywhere is covered by Prabhupada. Right? What is Prabhupada saying? Prahlad Maharaj, what did he see? Right? The Lord can be seen because it is mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. No. Ishopanishad, I guess. Right? Where the Lord is present in the form of the Archa Vigraha, a localized way, and is also present as a Paramatma in our heart. And the Lord is also eternally situated in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. Right? The Lord is enjoying eternally his pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. At the same time, the Lord is all pervading. AJT, that it is said that the Lord is situated in the Goloka Vrindavan Dham also at the same time. And the Lord is also present in our heart also at the same time as Paramatma. The Lord is also present as Archa Vigraha in front of us. Right? And this is inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. Right? And who will perceive this? Yajantihi su medasaha. The most intelligent people, they will be able to see the presence of the Lord everywhere. Knowing well how the sun is there, right? The sun is shining in the sky. We can see the sun. Although the sun is very far away, we think the sun is a small ball of fire because that's how we see it. But the sun is many, many million times even bigger than what we perceive the sun to be. Although the sun is there, we are seeing the presence of the sunlight here, right? Why? Because I'm able to see this mouse or this mobile or this laptop only because the sun is shining there. I cannot see the sun directly from here. I have to go out and see that ball of fire there. But I'm able to see these objects around me only because the sun is shining there. So the sun is present there in the form of the ball of fire, and the sun is also present here in terms of the effulgence of the sun. And Prabhupada also talks about how within the sun planet, there is also the sun god, Vivaswan, to whom Krishna gave this Bhagavad Gita knowledge to. So the three levels of realization. One is the effulgence of the sun, which is like the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, which is Brahman. And the second level is the localized aspect of the Lord, which means, the sun is there, and the sun planet we can see as a ball of fire, localized. Similarly, the Lord is present as a localized Paramatma in our heart. And the ultimate realization is the sun god who's within the sun planet, who's directing the activities of the sun planet. Similarly, Krishna is situated as Bhagavan in Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and that is the ultimate realization. So we can see the Lord everywhere when we understand that the effulgence of the sun is again the splendor of the sun is Krishna. Krishna is there in my heart, and Krishna is also present eternally in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. So whatever is our consciousness, we can always see the Lord when we have this transcendental knowledge. All right, so let's move on to our reading. Who else wants to read? Moshmi Mataji has read. Sindhu Mataji, go ahead. And then Shobha Mataji can read, and then we'll end. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, pranams Mataji.
Hare Krishna, pranams.
Hare Bochila Prabhupada ki jai. What can we perceive with our material senses? We can see what is visible to the material eye, earth, water, fire, but we cannot see air, although we can perceive it by touch. We can understand that there is sky by sound, and we can understand that we have a mind because we are thinking, feeling, and willing. Similarly, we can understand that we have an intelligence which guides the mind. If we go still further, we can understand I am consciousness. And one who is further advanced can understand that the source of consciousness is the soul, and above all, the super soul. The visible things around us are expansions of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord, but the Lord also has a superior energy, consciousness. We have to understand consciousness from higher authorities, but we can also directly perceive it. For example, we can perceive that there is consciousness spread all over the body. If I pinch any part of my body, I will feel the pain. That means there is consciousness throughout my body. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says we should try to understand that consciousness is spread all over the body and that is eternal. Similarly, consciousness is spread all over this universe, but that is not our consciousness, that is God's consciousness. So, God, the Supreme Soul, is all pervading by his consciousness. One who understands this has begun as Krishna consciousness. Our
Thank you,
process.
Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so here Prabhupada is giving us various examples to actually help us understand how we can perceive Lord Shri Krishna throughout, right? Because we know we are the owners and controllers of this body. I know what is happening in my body, isn't it? If I have pain in my arm, then I feel completely conscious that I have this pain in my arm, but I will not be able to recognize the pain in somebody else's arm or hand, whatever, right? Although I see that the person is in pain, I don't know, I cannot experience that pain. Why? Because I am not the controller of the other person's body, but the Lord is the controller of the Lord is present as the super soul, Paramatma, in everybody's heart. So the Lord is conscious of whatever is happening across all of the living entities' bodies, right? The Lord not only is conscious of what is happening in the body, the Lord is also conscious of what is it that we are thinking in our mind, even before we understand. The Lord understands what is our thought, what is our feeling, and what is our willing. According to that, the Lord is Bhava Grihi Janardana, right? The Lord responds to what is our feeling and emotion towards him. So that's what is mentioned by Krishna here. When we understand that the Supreme Lord is all pervading, then we know that not a moment goes when we are not seen by the Lord. And then we will also experience the presence of the Lord at all times. Okay, fine. So we'll just conclude with this. Shobha Mataji, go ahead. Our process is to
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada says. Our process is to dovetail our consciousness with Krishna consciousness. That will make us perfect. It is not that we merge into the consciousness. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. In one sense, we merge, but still we keep our individuality. That is the difference between impersonalist philosophy and Krishna conscious philosophy. The impersonalist philosopher says that perfection means to merge into the Supreme and lose our individuality. We say that in the imperfectional state, we merge into the Supreme, but keep our individuality. How is that? An aeroplane starts from the airport and climbs up, and when it goes very high, we cannot see it. We can simply see sky. But the aeroplane is not lost. It is still there. Another example is that of a green bird entering into a big green tree. We cannot distinguish the bird from the tree, but they both continue to exist. Similarly, the Supreme Consciousness is Krishna. And when we dovetail our individual consciousness with the Supreme, we become perfect, but keep our individuality. And outsiders may think that there is no distinction between God and his pure devotee, but it is due only to a poor fund of knowledge. Every individual person, every individual being maintains his individuality eternally, even when dovetailed with the Supreme. Prahlad Maharajas, Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam Mataji, Haribol.
Haribol, thank you. Yeah, so here the word dovetail, right? At least I have not heard of this word dovetail before I came to Krishna consciousness. Only after reading Prabhupada's book where we are getting this word dovetail. Dovetail means whatever is our propensity, we will engage that in the service of the Lord. We were discussing the other day. If I want to sing, if I like singing, I sing bhajans for the Lord. If I like dancing, I dance for the pleasure of the Lord. If I love to talk, then I talk about the glories of the Lord. Right? In this way, whatever is our propensity, that we engage in the service of the Lord. Right? And what is the important point here? The difference between an impersonalist as well as a devotee. Right? In both the cases, oneness is spoken about. So in one case, or the impersonalist case, he's talking about oneness means merging with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? But we know that such kind of merging will not give us bliss because there is no seva. right? It needs two people. Only then one person is the servitor, the other person is the served. When we merge, then there is no seva opportunity. Then there cannot be any bliss. So, what do you mean by oneness? Oneness also exists in bhakti. How do we understand this oneness? This oneness is oneness in interest with the Lord. Whatever is the interest of the Lord, whatever the Lord wants, whatever are the Lord's instructions according to his desires, we follow those instructions to please the Lord. That is called oneness in interest with the Lord, not to merge with the Lord, but to serve the Lord in such a way that it pleases the Lord. So in that way, we maintain oneness in interest with the Lord. Whatever is the Lord's interest, whatever the Lord wants, whatever the Lord, wherever the Lord wants me to be, I'm happy to go there, as long as I have this seva opportunity to the Lord. That should be the attitude of a devotee. A devotee does not want to merge with the Lord. Why? Because in that also there is sense gratification that is involved. That is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And bhakti is beyond moksha also. Because in moksha also, we want to get liberated from this body. Why? Because this body is causing us so much of trouble, so much of inconvenience, pain, suffering. That's why we want to transcend this body, right? That is the beginning stage. That's what we tell, as preachers, we tell that only to everybody. Right? We will get out of this material entanglement. We'll go to that place. But a devotee's consciousness is wherever I am, according to the will of the Lord, according to the pleasure of the Lord, I can happily stay in whatever condition as long as I am given the opportunity to engage in the service of the Lord. So that is the consciousness of a devotee. In that way, there is oneness even in bhakti, wherein there is oneness in experiencing or desiring something that coincides with the will of the Lord and not desiring anything else. Hare Krishna. So with that, we will end our today's session. We will quickly do 5 minutes of Harinam Sankirtan and then we'll end our session. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paskatyadi Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Jaya Jaya Sudarshan Jaya Balagopal Jaya Balagopal Balagopal Jaya Balagopal Jaya Jai Prabhupada Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Let's see who all we have today. We have Moshmi Mataji, Karpagavalli Mataji, Sridhar Prabhu, We have Shobha Mataji and all the other devotees. Thank you all very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha paritanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Okay, thank you so much, Sarva Gopishri Mataji and all the devotees for joining in. I'll meet you all tomorrow morning 5 o'clock for chanting, and then we'll meet you again at 12:30 for tomorrow is what day? Yeah, tomorrow is Thursday. So we meet tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. for continuing our this week. I guess mostly we'll finish this book and then we'll take out our next book. Maybe next year beginning we should start Bhagavad Gita. We have about 4 or 5 books left, and then we start with Bhagavad Gita, and then we progress to Bhagavatam, and then we progress to Chaitanya Charitamrita at the grace of Guru and Gauranga. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So if in case anyone wants to ask any queries or wants to share any realizations, you may do so. 3 days to most auspicious Ekadashi. So please do sponsor books. If not yet done, or you want to sponsor more, you're most welcome to do that. So next 3 days are very crucial. We study Srila Prabhupada's books. We sponsor Prabhupada's books. We try to distribute Prabhupada's books for the pleasure of Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Anything anybody wants to share, or we can end the session?